you today. My name is Amanda and I am so excited that you are joining me today for this video. I am a high school English teacher. I've been doing this job what feels like forever. It's been over 12 years that I've been in the classroom, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. I love being with students. I love working with my colleagues, and I just love what this field of education has for us in terms of opportunities and ways to just change the world. When I'm not teaching in the classroom, I'm usually hanging out with my two crazy kids. I am hanging out with my family. I have family in Mexico, Guatemala, and even family in the United States that just is all over the place. And so my love for travel, my love for adventure, all of those really feed into the energy that I bring to my classroom. I am especially excited about a podcast that I am a co-host for. The podcast is called Brave New Teaching, and my co-host Marie Morris and I talk all about different ways to engage students in new ideas, how to be brave when taking chances in your classroom, and we really build a strong community there of educators, and I hope you will check it out. Otherwise, you guys can always find me at my website, mudandingteaching.org. Let's get started with the show. All right, guys. Hey, and welcome. Let's get started talking today about 4 easy ways to digitize poetry instruction in your classroom. I think these are 4 things that you can kind of pick and choose from depending on your comfort level, and hopefully I've given you enough variety to get started. So, hi guys. I already introduced myself very briefly, but just so that you know about my poetry experience, I have been teaching poetry ever since my first year of teaching. Poetry was actually one of my concentrations in college, and so this is an area that's very near and dear and special to me. I've written poetry, I've taught it, I've read extensively, and I hope that this presentation can kind of ignite a poetry fire in you. Maybe you weren't even considering teaching poetry from a distance, but maybe now you will. So if you are, embarking in distance learning or e-learning of any sort, or if you're just looking for some creative outlets for your students to stay engaged with you during this time, I think these might be some ideas that you can take. Emily Dickinson said that if I feel physically as if the top of my head were taken off, I know that it's poetry. I love that, very beautiful poetic version of poetry makes your head explode, because it's so gorgeous and just wow. There are so many wow moments when you're experiencing poetry, and I love having those wow moments with my students. So today I want to share 4 different ideas. The first will be a type of poem students can write. It's called a cento poem. The second is an activity that you can create and assign for your students that shouldn't take you longer than, maybe 30 minutes to create, but it's also really nice and adaptable for a lot of different situations. The third is an assessment that you might consider, or some kind of, you can maybe use it just as an activity. Again, it's something that you would prepare to give to your students. And then the last one is one more poem that your students would write and then submit to you. And it's a group poem. So that's a really interesting and maybe a new idea for you. So let's get started. The cento poem. The cento poem is really creative and easy to implement. And if you didn't already know, the word cento is Italian and it means patchwork. So what's really brilliant about the cento poem is that it requires the students do no writing. They don't write a single word. What a cento poem does is it pieces together text and language from other places. So students are coming into a cento, bringing in a sentence from one place and a line from another and a phrase from another. The rule is they can use none of their own words, and all of the words must come from other writers. So if you're thinking about this from your teacher, with your teacher hat on, one way that I've used this in the past is based on something that we're reading in class. So if your students have independent reading books, you might say, I want you to write a cento poem based on the main character. Or you might ask your students to write a cento poem based on the central conflict. Or maybe they're going to write a cento poem based on the theme of trust or something along those lines in a story that you've read in the past or a story that they're reading now. You can give them a theme. You could also not connect this to anything you're doing in class and just give kids a topic. You could tell the kids, I want you to write the coronavirus cento poem. And they need to go all over the internet, the news, what they're seeing on social media, and pull lines, phrases, headlines, sentences from across the world, wherever their world is, and craft a poem using only things that they can find. So that's a cento poem, and I will show you very briefly. I'm going to pop out of this slideshow and jump back in. Hi there, guys. Hey, it's me. I'm still here. And show you that on my website. So this is mudandinkteaching.org. I have a blog post that really walks you through a lot of the things that I've just talked about. So you can find this really easily here. I'll try to link this for you guys in the Facebook, where we're presenting this. And you can see I've got some ideas here for how it works, some samples, and then directions that you can follow yourself. So that's pretty cool and available to you. I'm actually in the process of updating this with some more student samples. We just wrote these for their Lit Circle groups. And so all the students wrote a Lit Circle poem based on our essential question. And that was a really fun experience. So Cento poem right here on www.mudandinkteaching.org. You guys can check that out there and get lots of fresh ideas. All right, let's jump back into our presentation, which means I get kicked out of the little circle over here, which is cool. Okay, so we talked about, oh no, here I am. So we talked about the patchwork, the cento poem. Now let's talk about number 2, the YouTube scavenger hunt. The YouTube scavenger hunt, guys, is the one thing on this list that requires, actually there's 2 out of the 4 require a little bit of tech savvy, but this one I think you can manage. So here's the concept. You create a YouTube playlist of poems. They could be connected. They could be random. They could just be videos you like. That's it. You make a nice big playlist full of poems. That's step 1, create a playlist. Step 2 is to create a doc. A Google Doc, and the Google Doc will have a table on it. And basically the job that you're going to give the students is to do a scavenger hunt through the poems. So they get to watch them at their own pace. They can watch the ones that call them. I always try to give them more poems than what they can actually watch. And I tell them, watch what you want and answer the questions. And so on my doc, I've got a list of questions and things, and I'll kind of show you how to set that up in just a second. But I've done a variety of different ways. But basically, you want one column that has the questions or the things to look for, and the other column or columns would be where the kids would list the poem that fits that criteria, and then an explanation for why. That simple. So there's not a lot of tech involved other than creating the playlist, which maybe you've never done before, and it's kind of tricky. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So over here, I can show you guys, this is an example of a YouTube playlist that I have, and these are spoken word poems that are some of my absolute favorites. And so I've got them all linked right here. So you can just kind of skim through and see those are the poems that I have on this current playlist. And then every time I find a poem that I like let's say I wanted to add To This Day by Shane Koizan, which is, oh my gosh, if you've never watched it. Since I already have the playlist created, when I go in and I find the poem that I like, the video that I like, all I have to do is hit this button right here. And I can then save it to the playlist that I like. So for me, that's going to be the best poems for high school students. And now it's on that playlist. So it's there and ready to go for the kids. So I'm here. I found a video. This is my friend Marie from the Caffeinated Classroom. She's got a YouTube series. She's a vlogger. So if I want to create a playlist of all of her stuff, I could just click here where I was earlier. I showed you guys. Click here for the plus, and then create new playlist. So this is Marie's videos to watch. And I hit create. I can adjust the privacy of the playlist here as well, and I'm all set. So we've got our playlist, right? So whatever that might be, then we need to create our doc. So the doc very simply would look something like this. So on the left, I've got all the questions that I want kids to answer. And on the right, I've got space for them to answer the questions. We could do something like this. Which of the poems was your favorite? Why? What are some of the themes or topics that you heard about in the poems that you listened to? Really simple. What are some of the favorite similes and metaphors that you heard today in the playlist? So again, it's really open-ended. It's a scavenger hunt. Kids can go through and look for whatever they would like. And it's not like a real struggle, but it's really engaging, creative, and it gets them doing something digitally that's different than what they maybe were doing for other classes or doing for you in the past. So that's a really simple option for you right there. Okay, let's hop back into option number 3. So let's go ahead and move down here. Okay, so the third option that I have for you guys today would be to create a poetry choice board. So choice boards are apparently very popular now. I wasn't aware of that until everybody started doing them now for digital learning. But this is a simple, it's not that complicated. And I think it's a great way to, again, give your kids choice and keep them engaged in digital learning without it feeling like an overwhelming task for either one of you. So what you're going to need for a poetry choice board is basically a Google Doc, some direction, again, a table, and then some hyperlinks. So when you're thinking about a poetry choice board, you're going to want to figure out for yourself, what do you want the students to be doing? Do you want them reading? Do you want them writing? Do you want them listening? What is the activity you want them to do with poetry? For me, right before school closed, we were starting in on a poetry unit, and I had the kids writing. It was a mini unit where students were writing poetry. And so I had given them a choice board, and I gave them basically 4 categories, 4 different kinds of poems. And then each, they had to earn 10 points based on the poems that they chose from the board. And so the more difficult the poem was to write, the more points were on it. And then the more simple, none of them are simple, but the easier the poem, the fewer points it was worth. So kids could move around the board, choose what they liked, and write the poem that they wanted. And so that's kind of how we ran our choice board. I then adapted it digitally because initially it was just a handout. And then I adapted it digitally, and I just hyperlinked the poems to YouTube videos or web pages that described the kind of poem so that the students had examples to go off of. So let me show you that as well. So if we hop on over here, you guys can find this poetry choice board is available on my free resource library. I've got that. I will show that to you guys momentarily, but you can see the beginnings just got my directions. And then there's my very simple choice board. And this is the original. So the way that you take a choice board, I have, again, the choices I categorized by the type of poetry. So there were form poems, rhyme poems, found poems, and free verse poetry. And I had already created that table. And then now all I needed to do was highlight the poem and then link it out to a YouTube video, a website, a place where students could see what a blackout poem is. And I just insert the link right here and I'm done. And then the kids will now have a digital version of this choice board, and then they're able to go right ahead and create it. From there, students created a Adobe Spark webpage and then turned that into me on Google Classroom. So I got to see all their writing, and all their creative energy was funneled right here into a choice board. So again, pretty simple. Takes a little bit of thought on your end, just getting it started and organized. But once it's created and assigned, then it's over, and you just get to kind of wait for the questions to roll in, and any modeling you can do along the way on platforms like Zoom or Loom or any of those things. That's also fantastic. All right, we're getting to our last one. Let's go to number 4, number 4, number 4. Where are you? Okay, here's number 4. This one is crazy fun, and I am about to start this with my own students. We are going to write a group poem. And this is kind of like a long-term project. I'm not really putting any hard deadlines on it just yet. And I think this is going to be just a fun morale booster. That's really what I'm hoping that this one will be, because it was for the people that I did it with a couple weeks ago. So a group poem is what it sounds like. a poem written by a group of people. So what you need to start is a prompt. So what I've used with my friends, my friends that are in the secondary English community here on Instagram, we decided to write a Where I'm From poem inspired by George L. Lyon, and we took that original poem as our prompt, as our starting place, and then we each wrote our own stanza describing where we're from. And we kind of all agreed that we wanted the where we're from to be school, our classrooms, and that was the inspiration for our stanzas. So for the first section here of the task, your kids will need to write a stanza of poetry, and you need to give them guidance as to what you want that stanza to be a response to. Do you want them to write a stanza of poetry on life at home? Do you want them to write a stanza of poetry on the weather? I mean, whatever you want it to be, that's step one. Then the kids need to actually record themselves. That kind of stays here under the prompt. Once they've written that stanza, they then need to create a video. So the video doesn't necessarily need to be self-facing. They certainly could film themselves reading it. They could also film some B-roll kinds of things, like around their kitchen or around the backyard if it's nice out, and have them speaking the words of their stanza over the film. But whatever it is, they need to turn in a piece of film to you that's been recorded. So they can do it on their phones, they can do it on their Chromebooks. This is where it gets a little tricky. And again, this is why I'm kind of not making this a mandatory assignment. It's just like for fun, like let's stick together and do something together if we can. I'm keeping it kind of low stakes. So that's the idea there. Then next, you need to create a space where the kids can turn it in. So that's really could be Google Classroom. That could also be a shared Google folder if that's easier for you. Maybe you're using Schoology or something like that. You can have the kids submit their videos to you somewhere that you can access them, and make sure that they've changed all the permissions and stuff, that you're able to access it and it's all good. Finally, you then need to download all of that footage to your computer. Now you become the composer. So once you have all of the videos, you're going to have to dump them into a software that you feel comfortable using. I like WeVideo. WeVideo is currently free until whenever. So I definitely think WeVideo is a good way to go, especially if you're a novice at film stuff. That's what I used, and I'm going to show you what mine looks like very soon. And once you put all the videos kind of together into the one video, you could add text with the students' names at the bottom. You could add music. You can just leave it as is. You could add transitions, all kinds of things. And then once it's done, you can hit publish, and you have a class video of everyone saying a poem together. It'll be, I think, really cool to do at this time of year because we really miss each other. I've done them before in class in person, but never one digitally. So let's take a look at how I did this with my friends. So this is the Where I'm From poem video. This is the shared folder I was talking about. So my friends Ashley, Christina, Emily, I had everyone name their file by their first name. So everyone's videos are here in one place. So when I got all of those videos, I was able to dump them into, so you can see here's Stacy, here's Shayna, here's Jenna, there's me, and all the videos are down here at the bottom of the screen. I used a little bit of stock footage at the beginning of my video, and I'll show you a little bit here. Where I'm from, it smells like fresh Sharpies and Axe body spray. So you can see that's my piece. Then here comes Melissa with hers. And then we've got Jenna. Oops, sorry, I skipped you, Stacy. Stacy and Jenna. So everyone's just kind of put side by side into the video until they make a final draft. And so I will also link that final version for you guys. It's on my IGTV if you want to check it out. And it turned out really cool, super inspirational and beautiful. So That's how you create a group poem in WeVideo or whatever other platform you enjoy. So let's go ahead and just wrap things up today. We covered a lot of territory, didn't we? I'm really proud of you guys for sticking it out. I just want to thank you guys for being here. We covered first, we looked at the cento poem, which is the patchwork poem idea that I gave you. Then we looked at the YouTube scavenger hunt idea, another technological digital option that you can give your students. We then talked about using a poetry choice board as an assessment or potentially as an activity that will take, several days for kids to work through. And then finally, like a really long-term idea would be creating a group poem with all kids videotaping themselves or the stanza of poetry that they wrote. So I am so glad you guys gave me a chance today and you listened to these ideas. I hope they inspired you or got you thinking about something else. And maybe you have a colleague you want to share this with and you're like, oh my gosh, like we've got to try this. This is a great time to get fired up about trying new things. And you don't need to try everything, but you should try the things that make you feel excited. So if you felt excited today, I hope that you'll give some of these things a try. Feel free to always connect with me on social media. I am on Instagram at Mud and Ink Teaching, and I would be happy to answer your questions there. You can also check my website for backup information or other ideas if you feel like you need a little bit more guidance. I'm at mudandinkteaching.org. Guys, I also just published on March 28th my very first ebook all about teaching poetry in the secondary classroom. So if you're a secondary ELA teacher and you're looking for some guidance, I would love for you to check out the book. It's on my TPT store. You can find it there. And last but not least, I am just about ready to launch the first episodes of the podcast that I co-host with my friend Marie Morris, who you saw earlier in this video. We are the co-hosts of Brave New Teaching. It is a podcast for teachers who are ready to challenge the status quo. We hope that you'll join us there as well. And I hope that you guys have a restful, healthy, and safe spring. Take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and please, by all means, get help where you can get it, take ideas where you can get them, and know that enough is enough. You are enough. If you had a great idea today, it's okay to not do it tomorrow. It's okay to do it next year, or to wait until August, or to wait until January of 2021. Getting ideas is great. Don't feel stressed out that you have to do all of the ideas that you get. Thanks, guys, for listening, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the conference. Thanks for joining.